keeping your questions until the end of the interview so I don't forget your question or miss it. And if you're a subscriber, drop your question while I do the interview. If it's related to the questions that I'm asking, I'm going to try and do my best to ask it. All right, we're in. Let's do it. So, our guest today is Filedescriptor. He is a beast hacker. I've had the pleasure to work with this hacker myself, and I've seen him live in action, and I'm always speechless of seeing the stuff that he has done. So let's bring on Filedescriptor and see what he's all about. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Ben. How's it going? I'm good.
I'm doing great. Hey, man, thank you for joining me today. I realize it's like 3 a.m. your time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for staying up late. Are you staying up or waking up early for me?
It's kind of like staying up because it's like 3 a.m. Yeah.
So you're staying awake. Well, I appreciate you staying awake, man. Thank you so much.
Yep. No problem.
I did a quick intro of who you are, but before I do get started, I want to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? And how long have you been hacking for?
I'm Filedescriptor. I'm from Hong Kong. I am working for Q53 as a penetration tester, and I have a bachelor degree for computer science.
Very cool. How long have you been doing bug bounties for?
It's a pretty long story. I think I started doing bug bounty in 2014, and my first bug was a NA because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, what is bug bounty? I didn't know. I just submit some issues. I think that's security vulnerabilities, and then it's NA. And then I try to find some other bugs on like Yahoo, and I actually found a stored XSS on Yahoo.net, but it's obviously out of scope. So I kind of like so the report is resolved, but I didn't get any bounty. So it's kind of like discouraging. So I kind of stopped doing bug bounty for a while. And then in 2015, I decided to take a look at other applications. And because I was using Twitter a lot, so I decided to check out Twitter. And it didn't take me very long to find an issue, but I was just thinking, it's probably not security issues as well. So I just kind of submitted it like, just want to get into the bug bounty game. Yeah. And then to my surprise, I actually got a bounty, and it's actually a lot for me at the time. It was $700.
Wow.
And and the bug was kind of simple. So what the bugs can do is I can de-anonymize any users that visits my website. So I can de-anonymize what their Twitter handles is. And I think it's a borderline security issues even in this day. Because so the bug is basically, so I supply a list of possible users, their handles in the list, and then when you visit my website, I'll do a scan to check if you're in the list, and then I can determine if you are any of the users in the list, and then I can kind of do like binary search and to limit who you are. Yeah, that's how I got started.
Dude, can I tell you how? So when you were owning Twitter, I was just starting at HackerOne. And we, for the longest time, were like, who is this dude? He's owning Twitter, like left and right. You were dropping bounties on Twitter for like days, dude. You were getting some huge bounties there for a minute. You got hot on Twitter for a good minute, dude.
Yeah, that was a good time. But I'm no longer doing that a lot.
So what's your background like, man? Like, what is your background like that got you into hacking? Like, was it just that you were into computers as a kid? Were you doing development on the side? What was your background before hacking?
It was a very long story, I must say. So it all started when I was in elementary school. And so at the time, there was like a homework system, and they have like a calendar, and you have to complete the tasks for like daily, and you can only complete a task that is released on that day or in previous days. But if you complete a task in the previous day, you will get like a penalty point, and I cannot like submit tasks that's gonna be released in the future. So I was kind of like thinking, is there a way I can like pre-do some tasks so that I can not spend time on doing these silly tasks and just play games. So so I was looking at the browser, and at the address bar there was a parameter called the date equals the date of the task that's released. And then I was thinking maybe I can like change the day to like tomorrow. Maybe that's something. And then I kind of just changed the day to like the day after. And then I can actually like do all the tasks that's going to be released in the future. So so what I did was I immediately I like did all the following weeks the tasks. So I don't need to like spend time on tasks, and I can just play like games and stuff. And I think this is a very good example of like you can find a bug regardless of your age. Yeah. Like it's just like a logical thinking. Like when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because you just change the obvious thing. Like that's the only thing you can change, and like it's pretty simple. Even in this day, I think you can find bugs like this, and you can even get a huge bounty for this. Yeah. And so it was pretty cool. And then in the middle school, I was like kind of doing web development. I was developing like some CMS in PHP because like at the time a lot of websites are still using like static websites. So if you can build like a membership system, then it's kind of cool. Although nobody really uses the apps that I built, but it was kind of cool. Yeah. So then I like read a book about Ajax, and it was pretty boring. But at the end there was one chapter that's really interesting because it says security, and then like it's pretty interesting, security. Yeah. Then I looked at it, and it mentions something like you have to sanitize user inputs, and then it uses an example of SQL injection, and then my mind was kind of like blown because I was like recalling all the codes I wrote, and then I immediately understood, oh, holy shit! Like all the codes I wrote were vulnerable. Like I immediately jumped to like one of my applications, and then I just tried to do what the book taught me to do, just single quote or 1 = 1, that kind of stuff, and then boom, I got a SQL injection in my system, and then I was thinking, well, maybe like other websites out there are vulnerable as well. Right. So I just kind of manually I just put the single quote in every query of the URL, and then I got a lot of success. Like I got a lot of SQL injection in a lot of websites, and then I discovered something called the SQL map, which is like a tool that's automatically doing all the silly like single quotes, the union, join, that kind of stuff. And then I was playing with it a lot, and then I told my friend, hey, we can just add a single quote to a website, and then it gives us data. And then we were saying, hey, why don't we just like sweep all the websites with these techniques, and then we can contact the administrator of the website and then tell them to fix this. Right. And it was kind of fun, but no bounty, obviously, because it was like more than 10 years ago. It was like 2008 or 7, something like that. So it's a cool time. And fast forward to, I think
in that era of like 2005 to 2008, I want to make it clear, like SQL injection was prime in the early mid 2000s, dude. Like nobody knew how to prevent those kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly, because nobody really like had the idea of.
And most of them were error based too, which was really, really fun.
Yeah. basically a lot of websites use PHP,
Yep.
and then they don't like disable the error message, and then you can just like check a lot of like stuff like the path. You can do LFI, a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, you can't do that nowadays.
Yeah, it's a lot
But
difficult now.
yeah, so in 2012, I think, I kind of stumbled across the first bug bounty platform that's even before HackerOne and Bugcrowd. That's called Wuyuan in China. I think it's the first in the whole industry. So it's a bug bounty platform that's only giving out kudos for Chinese websites and Hong Kong websites as well.
That's
And I was thinking, I don't need to like submit the like tell the administrator of each website that your website is vulnerable. I can just do it like centralized, because they will then like forward the security issue to like the third organization, right? And then I was doing some the bug bounty, I guess, on the website, and then but it was pretty boring because I was just reporting SQL injection, that kind of stuff, and the data were not really sensitive. It's just for fun, and then I kind of forgot about it.
That was a practice you got, though, right? That's how you were learning all these different concepts, was going through these kudos programs that were giving you the skills to build up for whatever you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty valuable because like you could easily found websites that are vulnerable in the early days. So it kind of built up confidence because nowadays you cannot like look for these low hanging fruits. Like you cannot just add a single quote in the parameter and expect for an error or like some random stuff. So it kind of helped. And I think in 2014 was like the first time I knew about HackerOne. Mm-hmm. I think it was like I was reading a write-up from Homer Cove. He was pretty. He was a big name,
yeah,
like, because he hacked GitHub, right?
Yeah.
And then and then I kind of knew about the Western side of the bug bounty industry, mm-hmm. And then I realized, well, in the Western side, you can actually get some money for reporting stuff, and then I kind of looked on Twitter, and I saw some tweets like mentioning the bounty amount and like the stuff like that, and then I decided to check out like HackerOne, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really cool, man. I think, for people that are watching this, either you're live or on Twitter, not on Twitter, on YouTube, please remember that we don't recommend doing what we just described anymore. There are other avenues to get practice and going after live targets. This is, something that was 15 years ago. There weren't a lot of avenues for people to practice. So please don't go and hack on websites that you don't have permission. It's a different story when it was 15 years ago than it is now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now that I think about it, maybe I was like, I didn't have permission to test the website, but I still like tested it. But I guess nobody really bothered to, look for some guys that are hacking the systems, I guess.
Yeah. It was different, man. 15 years ago, it was a lot different, I feel.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Do you have any certificates at all? Your OSCP, anything like that?
I don't have a certificate, and a lot of people I know don't have certificates, and I think it's not necessary for doing bug bounty hunting.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like some people can have certificates, but they're not good at finding bugs. They're like doing, for example, some compliance stuff, I guess, and versus like people like me who don't have any certificate but still find bugs, like real life bugs.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a necessity for doing bug bounty hunting, but it's a good thing if you don't have direction to, like, if you don't know where to start to do bug bounty. I guess it's still an option, but if you can afford it, obviously.
Right. It's a little pricey,
Yeah.
man. It's not
Yeah.
easy to
Right.
get your hands on it. So you said about talking about things that are necessary. Do you think? So we talked about the OSCP thing, and I agree. It's not necessary. It's a good thing to get
Yeah.
past HR. It's a good thing to learn. If you don't know where to start, learning about hacking, great place. Go for it. Do you
Right.
also
Yeah.
do you think that programming is a necessity for bug bounties? Do you think it should be do you need to be a developer or have a heavy knowledge in programming in order to become a successful bug hunter?
I would say yes and no, because like for the no part, like I know a lot of people like good hackers who don't have programming backgrounds, like even developer backgrounds, computer backgrounds,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And like the other thing is there are certain types of vulnerabilities that don't really require programming knowledge, like the one that I mentioned when I was in elementary school. You can just change the parameter in the URL. It's like some obvious stuff. It's like logical flaws. It's like I don't know. It's just very simple. So and I think from time to time I read some news about like some random kids who found like authentication bypass, for example, in like Xbox, and they just do it like they didn't even know what they're doing,
Right.
but they can still hack stuff. So that's
You mean the
like
2,000 spaces that some kid put into Xbox just to log in?
I think so. So there was like the parents like didn't allow the kid to play on the Xbox, so they kind of I changed the password or something like that. And I didn't like recall how he bypassed it, but he did it like
you put a bunch of empty
I don't-
spaces,
yeah.
I think, from what I remember.
Something like that. Yeah, so that was the no part. And the yes part is sooner or later you have to at least have some knowledge on programming.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I had a bug that requires me to brute force kind of a long string, and all the existing tools at that time were not capable of like doing that kind of the throughput. It's not fast enough. So I needed to use the C++ library plus with the HTTP2 protocol to initiate a lot of requests because like in HTTP2 you can compress requests to the server, so it can reuse headers, that kind of stuff. You can reuse the previous socket, and so basically it can do stuff very fast. But at that time it was pretty new. No tools were available to like really like do brute force on HTTP. So I have to build the tools from scratch to do this kind of stuff. And and I mean, even for like a more advanced XSS, you need to like code in JavaScript, right? Like post message, you need to at least like do not like know how to insert the message event handler, like how to do post message, that kind of stuff. So I say it's a yes and no. It's yes because you can still like find IDORs like without even using a proxy. You can just change stuff in the URL and get a lot of money. But at the same time, if you want to like get more advanced stuff, you have to at least like know one programming language. Yeah.
Before I ask the next question, what languages do you recommend for people to learn if they're getting into bug hunting? Outside of knowing how to do, I just want to know like what languages do you think would be necessary for them to learn if they want to become successful in bug hunting?
Well, it's definitely JavaScript. JavaScript is very big nowadays. Like for example, XSS. Like it's the only language that is available when you're doing client-side stuff. So it's one thing. And the other is a lot of websites are kind of switching to Node.js, and like I see a lot of like prototype pollution in a while, and it's basic stuff. You just need toString in the parameter, and if it crashes, you probably have like a DOS to the application, and it's simple stuff. But because it's pretty new, so you have to like know what to look for. Like you can also do double underscore proto double underscore. That can also like hang the application. And another thing is the desktop application is they are using Electron a lot. I think like even like Slack, Discord, and even some Google products, I think, like they all use Electron. So,
Yeah.
and Electron is basically a wrapper of Chromium, which is like you use HTML, JavaScript, CSS to build an application across platforms. So it's kind of like if you have an XSS on the application, you can automatically have an RCE
On the cloud,
because of the way it's designed. And a lot of applications like don't really realize that. So it's another big thing. And obviously mobile clients as well, because you can build develop stuff with JavaScript and HTML, and you can make it a mobile app. So
Yeah.
I think it's like a must learn. Yeah.
What? How did you become so good at JavaScript? I personally, you are very comfortable with
Yeah.
JavaScript. How did you
Right.
become so good with it? I know it's practice, but for someone like that wants to learn JavaScript for an offensive purpose, to just to use it for hacking purposes, what is your recommendation?
Yeah. So in like 10 years ago, there was a community called 140 Bytes. So what it does is we all we all do like stuff to try to write a JavaScript code that is tweetable, because back then Twitter could only
140
do
characters.
140 bytes
Yeah.
actually. Characters. Yeah.
Yeah, for
And so we were all doing something called code golfing. So you kind of like try to like use the shortest possible characters to do the exact same task in like JavaScript. So in order to like push the limit, we have to like read the documentation of JavaScript. It was called ECMAScript, and it's pretty long, yeah. And it's at first I didn't like really wanted to read. It's boring. It's not helping me in areas other than code golfing. But kind of, because it was a community, so we all kind of discovered tricks every day, like using a lot of like DOM, weird behaviors, like weird syntax, weird browser specific behaviors, to like basically exploit the specification and the non-specification part. So that was like how I got really, really good at JavaScript. But I wasn't really good at cross-site scripting and browsers hacks when I was doing code golfing. I like I think in 2013, in Wuyuan, the first bug bounty platform in China, there was also a community, and some guy posted an XSS challenge. Like they were looking for the shortest possible vectors to pop an alert, and I was hooked because I knew JavaScript, but I didn't really understand the concept of cross-site scripting, because it's kind of different. You have to know what vectors you can pop an alert. You have to know like what vectors can allow you to execute arbitrary JavaScript code. So I was like, I got to learn about this. So I played a lot of the XSS challenge at the time, and I kind of gained a lot of knowledge of like how to convert my knowledge in JavaScript to XSS. And I think that was pretty much how I got good at JavaScript. And I even developed an kind of XSS mini challenge called prom.ml. I think Tom Nom Nom did that as well. And it's basically like doing collections of mini XSS challenges that's like how to bypass filters that is used in real WAF, and like how to squeeze, like if you have limitations on the payload, how you can like do arbitrary XSS, that kind of stuff. And if you're asking me like if you want to get into XSS or JavaScript in general, I would recommend you to do XSS challenges. Like for example, integrity access challenges.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know how to solve it, you can just read the previous write-ups, and you can check out my website, prom.ml. You can follow people that I follow, because most people I followed on Twitter are doing browser stuff and XSS. So you can follow them and to get some latest news on XSS. And yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, I just realized you actually I pulled up the website on the screen for people to see. It's cool that you guys actually provide the function, so it makes sense to what to look for when you're looking for an XSS.
Yeah,
that's a really good way to practice. That's awesome.
I was actually because we are doing some we are trying to create content on YouTube. Like we have Reconless,
We're gonna talk about that a little bit too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up.
All right.
I was gonna ask you before you get to Reconless. Do you actually do any recon when it comes down to doing bug bounties? What is it? If that's a hard question to answer, what does recon mean?
It's not a So reconnaissance to me is you are doing asset discovery, like you are doing, like you're trying to find subdomains, via SSL certificates, like brute forcing, Google docking, that kind of stuff, and you try to look for old assets that like the website's not really using anymore, but kind of still connected to an application, looking for hidden API requests, that kind of stuff. And I would say a lot of these access discovery involves heavily on automation. Like you have to automate. You have to have a good word list, and you have to even if you have a list of stuff to look for, you have to filter it one by one.
Yeah.
And it's tedious to me, and because I'm a tools guy. I don't use a lot of tools. I don't even use Burp. If you're interested, I use something called Fiddler. It's a kind of a primitive proxy tool that's only available on Windows, and it only does basic proxy stuff. So that's. I don't really like to use tools because I want to get the feeling of understanding a bugs, how a request works, how each parameters work, right. The most basic stuff. So I'm not a good fan of tools. So in that regard, I'm not a big fan of automation, and that is recon. But sometimes I do recon on manual basis. I go to the Wayback Machine website, back in the day when I was still hunting on Twitter. I actually found some good bugs using Wayback Machine, because I can access the APIs, the deprecated APIs that is kind of not in the documentation on Twitter, but it kind of still works. So in that regard, I do that manual reconnaissance. Yeah.
So if I were to give you an application or a bug bounty program to get an invite to, the program is start@site.com. What is your approach? Do you go for the main application? Do you do Google Docs to make it easier to find subdomains that are useful to you? How does that look?
Yeah, so at first I will check the website as a normal user, or maybe other roles like administrator or a team admin. I will try to understand how the application works, what the functionalities it provides, and I will kind of look for the developer documentations on the website if it's available, because the developer documentations usually provides a list of APIs that you can test, so you don't need to manually look for the API path.
Mm-hmm.
So I will kind of test them one by one. I will try to understand how each API is supposed to function. Is there any logical flaws or any kind of places that it can screw up? And then after all that, I will just look for the proxy logs, and to check each request if there are any interesting parameters, any interesting behaviors like changing headers and that kind of stuff. And so my approach is basically testing the functionalities, try to look for logical flaws, try to look for what really matters to the program, because some programs, like for example, some programs are not really interested in certain PII, like for example, email address. Maybe it's a low. Maybe for some programs, email address leak is like a high. That sort of stuff. Or maybe some programs even accept social engineering bugs. Yeah. So then, and after all that, I will do like the manual reconnaissance, like what I said, like Wayback Machine, Google Docking, subdomain, like the subdomain finder, that kind of stuff. But I don't really do brute forcing on path or discovering like hidden paths or stuff like that. Maybe I'll try some well-known stuff like Swagger, like common stuff, Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that's what makes hacking interesting, right? Everybody has a different approach, and everybody does things in a very unique way that makes sense to them, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is a good balance to have. So I 100% agree. Like, there is a very good value in not relying on automation, because that makes you I don't want to say automation, on tools, I'd rather say. Do not rely on tools, because that helps you understand how things work in a deeper manner than just using tools where you're bypassing understanding how these things work because you rely on a tool that does it for you. A good example of it is SQL Map. If you don't know how to do SQL injection, you rely on SQL Map, you're going to find some bugs maybe, but you can't find those harder SQL injections that are hard to exploit. You can't just use vanilla SQL Map, for example, to find them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because SQL Map is like, if you don't know how to bypass a field injection restriction, then you're just wasting time. You're just like sending a bunch of junk requests to the application. And versus if you try to understand what the application is like sanitizing, like filtering, you can do it in like one request or maybe two requests, and then you just save all the times.
Yeah. Let's talk about Reconless. I think it's you, Ron, and Ed. Is there anybody else?
Yes, right. Just three of us.
So how did Reconless happen? How did it come up? Like, how did this idea become a thing?
I had this idea last year. I think it was even before you started creating content, but I was kind of procrastinating, because making videos is very, very difficult. Like, you have to spend like days into like editing, like producing content, like thinking of like what to put in content. So I was kind of procrastinating, because like the main motivation for me to start Reconless is there was not really a good resource into learning bug bounty. I know there is like Hacker 101. There is like some books like the Web Hacker Handbooks, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I think they are not really specifically designed for bug bounty hunting. Even Hacker 101, it's kind of like some general web hacking stuff. And if I'm offending anyone, I'm sorry, but I think Hacker 101, the videos of Hacker 101 is kind of boring. Yeah, because it's reading
the
original,
the original videos.
Yeah, I'm sorry to Cody, but it's
it's a different. So, it doesn't give you. I agree. It's a different format that needs to be done other than just slides.
Right. Yeah. So I decided to like create my own content, because I know I believe I know this educational stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
I created a blog post, the blog.inahc.ml, and I wrote one blog on teaching, like explaining what clickjacking is, using a bug on on Google as an example, and it kind of blew up on Hacker News. It had 1,300 upvotes. It was pretty big, and it was like I was trying to visualize how clickjacking works. So basically, I try to simulate a real clickjacking scenario. I kind of stack two iframes with each other, and then when you click the reveal button, it will tell you what exactly you're clicking underneath. So that kind of stuff. And I think it's pretty like intriguing because like I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of YouTube videos explain stuff like this. It's like it's kind of suck you in. It's interesting. You want to learn more. So I decided like because I think I'm kind of good at this. Maybe like I think I can kind of explain stuff in a interesting way. So I decided to try to create like online videos or blog posts for specifically designed for bug bounty hunting, and so that's how I got started. And then I asked if Ron and Ed if they're interested in creating content with me because like they're big names, right? And they said yes, and then that's how we got started.
I mean, to be honest, man, it's any content that comes out geared towards bug bounty hunters or bug bounties in general. It's great for the community and industry.
Yeah.
Because you're leveling up the entire community by putting these contents out, right? And you're also exposing more people to bug hunting, and you're showing more people to do it, right? I've thoroughly enjoyed watching the videos. I just dropped a link. I dropped a link on in the chat as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the VOD, just go to youtube.com, look up Reconless, and this is what the channel looks like. You guys have 4 videos already. First one was the Ron talking about GitLab, and then you have 3 videos that you guys have put out in the past month. So if you're watching this, here's the YouTube channel. Make sure you check them out and click that subscribe button.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about a little bit, just bug bounties in general. You said you do pen test with Cure 53. Did you do bug bounties before pen tests, or did you do pen tests before bug bounties?
I think I did bug bounty before pen test because I joined Cure 53 in 2016, I think, 2016, and I started doing bug bounty in 2014. So I did it before, right?
And how did bug bounties help you with pen testing? I'm trying to show people. The reason why I asked the question is I want people to understand the skills you get from bug bounty hunting, whether it's from a vulnerability disclosure program or a bug bounty program, they are still transferable to pen testing in the real world, right? How did bug bounties help you with that aspect?
It helps a lot, but I gotta say QR53 is a special company in regards of pen testing, because I know a lot of pen testing firms out there are doing like checklists, like compliance, boring stuff, but we are kind of open to. So our style is kind of like doing bug bounty. Like we discover whatever we think there is, and then we just write a report together. So in that sense, I think it's kind of like doing bug bounty. So I would say like bug bounty helps a lot for me to transfer into doing pen tests because it's basically just doing the same stuff. But maybe you need to report more low issues like missing headers, that kind of stuff. But it's not really bothering me, and then I can also use this as an opportunity to like level up myself or keep myself up to date, because like the security industry is changing very fast, and the benefits of working for a pen testing company is you can do source code reviews. You can you can directly talk to the customers, so you can exchange ideas with them, and then you can just ask them, hey, is this behavior like intended, or is this a bug? And you can like even ask like, this line of code, is this like what exactly is this for, like that kind of stuff. And then because like the clients coming to us are pretty like the up to date, I mean like not the traditional old clients, so they're using new technology stack like GraphQL, Golang, like a lot of new frameworks. So it also provides me an opportunity to like get in touch in these kind of newer technology, and then I can like try to like find stuff in that specific frameworks or like language. So I think it kind of helps. Yeah.
Yeah. What is how does bug bounty hunting look for you right now? Are you doing it regularly, or are you just doing it whenever you feel like it? How does that look like right now?
So I was doing bug bounty pretty, I wouldn't say competitively, but pretty like I spent like few hours each day when a week when I was like still hunting on Twitter. But nowadays I don't do bug bounties a lot because I think the scenes has changed quite a bit. So I only do bug bounties when I'm bored, when I feel like it, like when there's a live hacking event invite. Because I think like nowadays it's very, very competitive. Like the other day I got an invite to a program as a private invite, and then it was only like the email was only sent like 30 minutes ago, and I found a bug. I submitted it, and it was a dupe by like a couple like maybe 20 ID like yeah, the ID. So it was pretty discouraging, and at the same time makes you realize it's it's getting really, really competitive because like bug bounty is kind of become an industry, right? And all the big monies are pouring, and then you just need to like you you have to like not only be good at hacking, you also have to be good at like seizing the chance, like when it comes to you. So and the other thing is like I kind of get like getting tired of doing the same stuff over and over again, like look for secret API paths, just test parameters and stuff. It's I wouldn't say it's boring, but it's pretty repetitive because I'm already doing it in pentest. So
Right.
why do I need to do it again? So what I do now is I'm open to collaboration. So a lot of people come to me and ask, "Hey, Filedescriptor, can you bypass this like access filter?" Like yeah, and then I most of the
Guilty.
time I can give them like the solution, and then we can split bounties. So that eliminates the tedious part, which is looking for endpoints and stuff, and I can just focus on hacking, like finding for bypasses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, I am definitely guilty of the "Hey, can you bypass this" thing. I don't know if you remember when we were doing that charity event in Vegas. I think we ended up
Yeah,
walking away with like 7K in
yeah,
donations.
it was one login, right?
I believe so. Yeah, it was in a
Yeah,
suite.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was good, yeah, good time.
Speaking of collaboration, man, I want to understand. What's your take on collaboration? Do you think collaboration plays a huge role in learning?
Yeah, definitely. Like for example, the other day when I was doing a live hacking event, in Inhibitor, Cosmin came to me and like, hey, this endpoint looks weird, and like, is there something like you can do with it? Because he I think he thought it's kind of related to JavaScript. Like he thought the back end was using Node.js, that kind of stuff. So I checked some vectors and nothing interesting happened. And then I tried to do the toString equals one stuff, and then the server crashes. And then we got 5K for that. It's
Wow.
pretty good. So like there are a lot of examples for instance like this. Like we can collaborate, we can share like you can share ideas with each other. Like for example, I like because of this report, like in Cosmin, I think he was like he decided to look for like more stuff on the parameter pollution on other applications because he didn't think it was popular in real life applications. So it's kind of like it sparkled the idea of him trying other stuff, and at the
Yeah.
same time, I can also like get this kind of knowledge from other people, and obviously the manufacturers as well. And it also like helped you like get to meet new friends. So it's good. You have to you have to like at least collaborate with like some people. Yep.
When you were getting into hacking, did you have any mentors, anybody you looked up to that helped you get here?
I don't have a mentor. I didn't have a mentor.
Yeah.
I was pretty much on my own because I don't like to easily ask help from people because I don't want to feel like I owe somebody a favor, and I also don't want to feel like I have to test every possible like solutions before I ask for help because that's how you improve. That's how you get good at hacking and experience and also learning the perseverance. So that was my mindset. But nowadays I kind of ditched that mindset because like at the end of the day, it's the communities that matter. You have to like grow with each other because like the industry is changing so fast. You can't even catch up. You can't do stuff on your own. So when you are in the community, you're also contributing to the community. You take stuff from the community and you like give back. So yep.
Yeah, I think I get the not wanting to owe people a favor, but I think the indirect mentorship also comes from collaboration. You get to learn how others are approaching a bug, others are approaching an application, and also learn from that as well, right? But I kind of want to hear if you learn everything on your own. Did you have a mentor and that sort of thing? But it looks like you didn't really have anybody to rely on for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody. I just read a lot of articles, Twitter accounts. I just did everything on my own. I looked for resources that are available online. I just do tests myself. I didn't like back then. I didn't even like know anybody doing bug bounties. I just looked at activity and I could recognize some people. But I never reached out to them.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much doing like things myself.
Before there's another part to the interview, but before I jump into the last part of it, I want to ask you, what is your advice for people that are watching this live right now? The people that are going to be watching this video, either when it goes live next week or 2 years from now, that want to get into web hacking, want to get into bug bounties. What is your advice?
Watch Reconless? No, that was kidding, but
you should though.
Yeah. I would say read write-ups, read blog posts, read everything that's available online, read Twitter accounts. Like back in the days, I was following some like Twitter accounts. I kind of stalked them. I looked for every old tweets that were posted by them. I checked every tweet that they posted, and because like they sometimes post useful tips that they didn't even realize is useful, and I kind of like did it a lot, and I gathered a lot of tricks from the Twitter accounts and also write-ups and like online articles. And you have to also really hack yourself. You have to like find an application. You have to like open your Burp or any proxy tools. You have to try stuff on your own. You cannot just watch videos, just blog posts, and then and say I understand, but you have to really try it to really grasp the ideas. And perhaps the biggest thing to know is never give up. Perseverance is really, really important. Just like my first experience, my failed experience in bug bounty, I didn't get any bounties. I got NA. I got out of scope. I stopped doing it for a while. But if I didn't give up at the time, maybe I could even found more bugs back then, because like you have to give up the mindset of, like, for example, when you're looking on a public program, you have to give up the mindset that it's probably looked like a lot of people have already looked at it. It's not worth it. You have to give up that mindset, because That's what I thought when I was doing bug bounty hunting. But I still got success on Twitter. Like I look for stuff that nobody looked for. I look for depth, not look for breadth. So it's like an important vector. Like the other day, I watched a YouTube video. It introduces a concept, like psychological concept called self-helplessness. So the idea is if you keep failing at something, you'll eventually like developing a tendency that it's not going to work. I don't even bother trying. If I just try it, it just brings back the bad memory. And it's kind of true in bug bounty hunting because like if you, especially when you are like at the beginning, right? If you like fail a lot and then you kind of develop a tendency that I'm not good at it, I'm not worthy, I don't know how I don't know how to hack. It's probably like all the bugs were already found by other good hackers and people, and you have to give up on this mindset because sometimes like even so on some obvious places you can still find bugs because they may probably like updated some functionalities like maybe just a few days ago, and then you just happen to stumble across that. You tested it, even though you know it's probably not vulnerable because it's so obvious, but it happens from time to time. So I think the biggest thing to learn, like aside from the technical aspect, is to never give up.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, and I completely forgot to ask you this. Do you ever deal with imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I deal with it a lot, and I think it makes sense for a lot of bug bounty hunters to deal with this because, like, if you compare a bug bounty hunter with like a traditional security researcher that is like doing CTF and do binary exploitation, that kind of stuff, and then when you compare yourself with those hackers, like they are very obviously very knowledgeable. They do CTF, they can do stuff that you cannot solve, and then they can find stuff that you can find. And then you kind of compare their work. They publish disclosures, like a lot of like CVEs, and then you looked at yourself, and then you realize the bugs you found were really easy. Like for example, some IDORs, you just change IDs, right? XSS, just throw payloads. CSRF, just look for absence of CSRF tokens, and like XXC, just upload XML files, that kind of stuff. And you look for and you looked at them. They are not as successful as the bug bounty hunter because for some random reasons they don't get the recognitions they deserve, and also they don't earn that much money compared to a bug bounty hunter. And then you're kind of thinking to yourself, am I really worth it? I didn't spend a lot of time. I'm not talented, but I still get better recognition and like money compared to those good hackers. And so in that sense, I think it makes a lot of sense when you are like thinking of the imposter syndrome. And I would say it's not necessarily a bad thing because it also drives you to like get better skills at yourself. Like
motivates you.
Yeah. It's kind of you want to prove yourself that you are at that tier, or at least you spend effort into getting to their levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you hit it on you nailed it, man. Like I deal with imposter syndrome a lot. Like but it drives me at the same time because I see that there are people that are doing really, really good, and I look at them like, well, I'm past the phase of thinking, am I worthy? I'm past that phase. It's just, what do I do to become this good now? What do I have to learn? What do I have to do to become this good as some other hackers? And using it as motivation instead of something that puts me down and depresses me.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about burnouts? Do you deal with burnouts a lot?
Yeah, actually, I'm still kind of burning out. Like, as I said, I am kind of getting tired of doing repetitive stuff, like looking for API endpoints, that kind of stuff. Like, for example, if I don't need to look for like stuff. Like for example, some people send stuff to me and ask me for a bypass. I can happily do that because I'm really looking for the technical aspect. I'm not saying looking for hidden stuff or asset discovery are not technical, but it's just not how I like it. Like for example, in a team collaboration, for example, it may benefit me because I can like have some people to do reconnaissance and I can focus on the bypassing aspect. Yeah, so I would say I think it's not necessarily burned out for me, but I kind of want to change something like for example, when I got into bug bounty from a programming background, that's a huge jump, and I kind of want to get another like jump to like another dimension, another aspect.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it's bug bounty is still good for me. I still do it occasionally. I do it like on life hacking events, so
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's a hard balance with making sure you're not doing too much. But I think what you're saying, I think from what I understand from what you say is you enjoy the exploitation more than the discovery.
Yeah, exactly.
And you burn out on the discovery rather than the exploitation.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Like for applications that are pretty simple, like Twitter, like it's like compared to something like Verizon, like you can immediately spot the difference. Like on Twitter, even if you want to do asset discovery, like doing it manually, it's easy. You just need to look for documentations and maybe just go to Wayback Machine, do docking, like read articles from other people. It's still enjoyable, but because there are still a lot of applications that are kind of huge on scope, and I'm just not a fan of that kind of applications. And you can't compete with people that are good at recon when you try to hack on those programs. So that's how I view it.
Yeah. Well, hey man, let's jump into the second portion of the interview. The second portion is just more fun. It's less questions, more casual. I'm gonna ask you some questions about your history with bug bounties. And then in the second half of it, I'm going to give you a word, and I'll tell you when we start doing that. But I'm going to give you a word. It's based on this interview, everything that we've talked about. And then you tell me your reaction or whatever comes into your mind at first, okay?
All right. Yeah, all right.
If you had to hack on one bug bounty program for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Twitter.
Fair enough. Do you remember your first bug bounty program you ever hacked on?
I think it was it was either Twitter or Yahoo or maybe Cloudflare. Yeah, I forgot.
Do you remember your first bug type, what you found?
It was a XSS, obviously.
Of course. Do you remember your first bounty?
$700.
Do you remember what you did with it?
I upgraded my computer because I was still using a single monitor computer and with crappy software, a crappy keyboard. Like some keys are kind of broken. You have to press it really hard. So I upgraded my computer to dual monitors, and it helps a lot. Even in today, I'm still using that monitor, and I purchased a mechanical keyboard. It's satisfying. It's like hacker's dream, I guess.
Yeah,
it's pretty good purchase. Yep.
Is there any big purchases or meaningful purchases you have done because of bug bounty hunting, like with the monies that you have earned?
Like Ron said, we're Asian, we save money, but yeah, I save like 90% of money from bug bounty. But I did a huge purchase on Bitcoin.
Did you?
Because like Bitcoin, Bitcoin was pretty huge in 2017, like the end of 2017.
Yeah.
And I bought some Bitcoins with the bug bounty, and I'm still in loss. A lot. Yep. Yeah. But
hugs.
but it turned out to be good.
Yeah.
Because I used this as an opportunity to learn blockchain hacking.
Wow.
Actually, like our company are getting some a lot of blockchain related pen tests. So it kind of gives me experience to test blockchain stuff. I actually found some minor issues on the Trezor wallet. Like I got a small bounty for like 5 issues, like some XSS on the web wallet, like a race condition on like authorizing a transaction on the device. It's actually it all comes down to basic stuff, like logical stuff. You don't need to know hardware hacking, but it kind of gives you an opportunity to like learn stuff outside of your realm. And I appreciate this purchase, so I treat my loss as a gain in a way, but I'm still in a huge loss.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Are there any hackers you collaborate with regularly? Besides
it's probably Cosmin.
Yeah.
SM Security.
Sebastian. Awesome.
Yep, Sebastian. And I have some names, but it's pretty vague. Maybe I'll just stop here. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Any hackers you want to collaborate with that you haven't had a chance?
I'm generally open to collaboration to anyone, so I don't have a preference. So maybe I don't know, maybe you.
We've done a little bit of collaboration, but nothing at a high scale. And the whole time we were talking, I'm like, I gotta talk to him and see if we can hack some stuff together. Because the one time we did together was really, really fun.
Yeah. So basically, I'm open to collaboration. I don't have a preference. Anyone, like for example, some people reach out to me on DM, although 90% of them are spam, but I still check it from time to time. Wow. So I don't really have a preference. But I do appreciate when somebody approaches me and asks for help, because it proves that I am like reputable. I am like I have the knowledge to do stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any favorite tools for bug hunting?
Dev tools. The Chrome DevTools.
Well, you just did a video.
Yeah, I just did a video on that. Yeah, you gotta check it out.
Let me. Can somebody link to that video in the chat, please?
I think it even helps when you're doing reconnaissance, because there is a hidden feature called the memory tab. You can dump the entire the memory heap on the on that tab, and then you can extract API URLs or any hidden URLs in general from the heap map. So yeah, it's pretty useful.
And if you're
Chrome DevTools provides some really useful predefined API.
There we go. I did a little preview of it with the audio. I think that's all the easy questions. Let's get into the fun one. So this is what I give you a word, and you tell me what comes into your mind.
All right.
Let's start with Cure 53.
Awesome.
SQL map.
Script Kitty.
JavaScript.
Must learn.
Let's see. XSS challenges.
CTF.
Reconless.
You have to subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like it and hit the bell.
Recon.
Boring.
Bug hunting.
Life changing.
Live hacking events.
Good occasions to meet friends.
HackerOne.
Love and hate relationship.
Ron Chan.
Can I say something other than just one word?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's one sentence, one word, whatever comes into your mind.
Like he started doing bug bounty later than me, but he's been a big inspiration for me when I was burning out, because like he started from a background without any computer science or like even computing in general. But he started from the very bottom, like he didn't know how to like code, like Python, like stuff like that. To this day, I'm kind of watching him grow, I guess.
Yeah.
And I can say he's probably the biggest inspiration for any bug bounty hunters. If you think you're not capable of doing that, because somebody who doesn't have any background, who started from zero to the level he has today, is really inspiring. It's awesome. So he's a big inspiration.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about Ron Chan, I have an interview with him. He talks about a lot of this stuff as well.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and are interested in learning about Ron, definitely give it a go. Let's do one more. Ed Overflow.
Troll. No, just kidding. He's a good fan. He's a frog. Yeah.
I think that's all I had, man. Before we open up for questions from chat, I want to say thank you so much for joining me, man. I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
I'm over here fanboying while I'm questioning you. I want to bring that up before I let you go. But seriously, man, I appreciate you being on here and helping us
appreciate
out. Chat, if you have any questions, I'm going to put up 4 minutes for questions. If you have them, this is the best time to drop it. If you're not a subscriber, use your redeem points. You can redeem them and ask. What do you recommend to learn JavaScript today?
Like from what resources or?
Yeah, like how should someone go and learn JavaScript? Should just jump into like something like Codecademy or?
Yeah, I think Codecademy kind of helps, because if you have zero like knowledge, because it kind of helps you understand the concept of web development, not necessarily JavaScript. Like, because you kind of build an applications like hands-on, and you can grasp the concept from a developer point of view, and then at the same time you can look for learn for like some methods, how it works, like what's the usual DOM methods that is used, and then you can then later look for blog posts and resources that teaches you XSS, and then because you have a foundation, you can kind of step into like the next step. And I'm a huge fan of the hack to learn concept. So you don't necessarily learn something then hack it. You hack it, then you learn it, because like in this process, it forces you to think like how you can hack something. Like for example, if I want to exploit this XSS, like all the available payloads I throw at it doesn't work. Like what do? I like, for example, test for what characters are filtered, like in what context the output is, and then I can like you can kind of like start building your own payloads from scratch. Like in this context, you need to use this tag. You have to use this attribute, and you have to use this function, and then it forces you to look for documentations and resources, and that really really help to get into your memory.
Yeah.
Instead of like traditional learning. Yep.
Ed is asking, what is your favorite animal and why is it the frog? Do you want to comment on that?
Favorite animal? Harp seal.
So it's not a frog?
No, not really.
Well, very cool. I think that's all the questions that came in from chat. I think I tried to stay ahead of most of it. Again, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing more of your work.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Whew, what an interview. That was definitely a fun one. I genuinely enjoyed talking to Filedescriptor. Thank you so much for the sub, and thank you for everybody that subscribed and all the bits that came in during the interview. I've personally been a huge fan of Filedescriptor, and it's good to hear from him directly and seeing how he does his magic. All right, I think that's it from me. We're ending on a little bit of an earlier term today. What should we do? Should we raid? And if so, who should we raid? Let me see who's online right now. I think we should raid some people. Anybody want to suggest anybody to raid? I don't see any hackers really live. There's nobody English speaking is live right now. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate you guys all being here. Poker live. I'm gonna go play that game. You were right. Should we play? Wait, should we? You guys want to watch the game? I mean, I'm a little bit deep in the game already, but we can play a few rounds. All right, give me a sec, chat. Give me a sec. I gotta take a break. Give me like 5 seconds. Okay, maybe more. Give me like a minute. I'll be right back.